What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Farzy Show. My name's Mark Farzy. Nice to have you along for the ride here from the Steven Singer Studios. And the Farzy Show, of course, presented by DestinationRetirement.com and my man, Mike Seibert. First off, hope everyone had a lovely Easter, just a wonderful Easter. I don't know if you can tell, some newcomers that have come along the way here on the Farzy Show, new subscribers, new viewers, whatever it might be. In the early days of the show, I got a ridiculous sunburn on the very top of my very bald head. And I was out all day Saturday, not so much yesterday, but all day Saturday, and I got kissed by the sun again. This one's not as bad, I don't think, but for those watching the show and not on the podcast, right up there. A little bit more reddish hue to it than anything. But anyway, hopefully it won't distract you too much. Maybe the glare off the top of my head won't be as bad as it normally is. But either way, welcome into the show, everybody. And let me know if I'm on that same par as I was after the Athletes for Care golf outing coverage I provided for you fine people. That was a bad moment for my bald men everywhere. Bald men everywhere looked at my head that week and went, wear a hat, friend. But anyway, welcome to the show. Tyrese Maxey is incredible. And I'm not going to let the Phillies doing exactly what I said they can't do. I'm not going to let that rain on my Tyrese Maxey parade, ladies and gentlemen. 38 points in Game 1 against the Toronto Raptors, and I have not come down off my Tyrese Maxey cloud 9 from that performance. He was clutch. And to go in 30 for 30 mode for you for just a second, what if I told you that Joel Embiid wouldn't even get to 20 points in a basketball game, but Tobias Harris, by Tobias Harris standards, would go off. James Harden would be the man with a double-double with his assists and also his points. And that Tyrese Maxey was going to jump out there to the tune of 38 points. You were only going to turn the basketball over 3 times, which is insane. And you were going to win the offensive category of rebounds. What if I told you that was going to happen in a basketball game? But still, Joel Embiid only 20 points. No turnovers, but only 19 points, under 20 points, only 19 points in this game. You would say, well, only 19 points, but everyone else does that. Yeah, they can win that game, and that's exactly what they did. And you know why they did that? The two main reasons, because they won the rebound battle finally against this team, especially on the offensive boards. I told you going into this series, the Toronto Raptors in their 4 games against the Sixers previously during the regular season had beaten the Sixers on the offensive glass, especially by double the amount, more than double the amount the 76ers offensive rebounds they were able to pull out in those first 4 games during the regular season. So this game, they go into it. Sixers are dominating the offensive glass at halftime, 8-2, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a lot for a half of basketball, considering especially the way those 4 previous games went. Then in this game, they take over the offensive glass. They take over the turnover battle by being really smart with the basketball. I give so many kudos and props to Joel Embiid for what he was able to do in that game on Friday night. It was spectacular. That was the type of game he was talking about 2 days earlier, when he talked about trusting his teammates and allowing himself to make the play to them when he gets double teamed, when he gets triple teamed, when he doesn't have a play in the low post, whatever it might be. He was setting up his teammates phenomenally well in this game. Most notably Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, Tobias Harris. It was great to see that from Joel Embiid. He got his rebounds, a game-high 15 rebounds in that game, and he set up his teammates really well. And the most important thing is he didn't force anything for himself. There weren't those instances that we saw in the Hawks series in particular last year, or we saw in the previous Toronto Raptors series with the quadruple doink and Kawhi Leonard, where he was trying to force issues because he felt like he had to be the man for the team no matter what. Even though that team had Jimmy Butler and this current team has James Harden, he said to himself, I'm not going to force anything. And he played smart basketball. And he talked about it after the game, saying that's exactly what he did. He went into the game with a game plan, stuck to that game plan, and the Sixers team won. But what we'll all talk about, what we will all just be amazed about in this game, and hope that this is one of the things they take into the next game. We'll get into the keys to tonight, 7:30 tip-off on TNT against the Raptors for Game 2. But the main thing that everyone takes away from that Game 1 is Tyrese Maxey and how incredible he played. He was all over the floor. And when you look at that play the great pass from James Harden late in the third quarter to go up 18 on the Raptors at that point. When you look at that play, what I can't believe where Tyrese Maxey, I didn't watch it many times to just hold on a minute. That's where he started. So Harden gets the ball in his hands under the Raptors basket. Maxey is under the foul line at the Raptors basket. He didn't like start down the floor. He wasn't at like half court or anything like that. He started almost parallel to James Harden. And then he broke. Like he looked like a center fielder getting a great jump on a ball, something like that. He just knew exactly where he had to go on this play. And he basically sprinted down the wing. James Harden had that great skip pass to him. He catches it in stride, buries it on the layup. It was spectacular. And that's what you get from that kind of spark, that kind of young spark playing with these types of veterans in the Sixers starting five. And when you saw that play, you thought something special was only going to continue to happen with the Sixers. Maxey was already having himself a game. Harris had himself a game by halftime. I think he had 16 points at the half. That was one of the most pleasant surprises of that part of the first half. But Maxey jumping out and dominating was the most pleasant surprise in this game. I thought it would still be Joel jumping out, even if he wasn't to get double or triple teamed. I thought his stat line was going to look great going into halftime because he's going to be going to the foul line as many times. He'd probably still be leading the team in points. That wasn't the case. It was all Tyrese Maxey all the time. And it was Tobias Harris jumping out to play in the way that we saw him play in spurts against the Hawks last season. They get that version from Tobias Harris, and they're going to continue to double and triple team Joel Embiid. This Sixers team is going to be fine. And I'm going to do it. At the risk of pissing off everybody in the chat, I'm going to do it. I give Duck Rivers credit. He knew this team needed a little kick in the ass. This team got a little kick in the ass. You know how they did that? What are we talking about on Friday? The hard practices they had, especially the practice they had on Thursday. Oh, where they went really hard at each other. And they weren't calling fouls. Doc Rivers, the coaching staff, the refs, they weren't calling fouls in practice. They were making them battle it out. Tobias Harris talked after the game, after game one, about how this particular team was texting each other in their little team text chain. Some trash talk about how they were playing in practice. People got pissed off. People got competitive. If you watch the Sixers play, especially over the last couple of weeks of the season, the way they blew a lead against the Pacers, the way they blew leads against other teams in the last couple of weeks of the season, it left you concerned, to say the least. The Pistons, another one, it left you concerned. Okay, this is how you guys are going to wind things down right before the playoffs? Well, they found another gear to get to. And I think a lot of people locally, I'm not excluding myself, I had my doubts about this Raptors series, but I think a lot of people locally, there's no doubt in my mind that the Sixers hear that conversation. Oh, they lost 3 of 4 to the Raptors during the regular season, and Pascal Siakam just smoked them, and Joel Embiid might not be enough, and James Harden might be done, and will Tyrese Maxey help this team enough? Like, whatever. There's a lot of conversation. I mean, T. Stibel's not going to be in the lineup, right? I thought, first off, Danny Green shooting. I don't expect anything from Danny Green offensively. Like, I just expect him to be a good defender. And we'll see what happens when they go to Canada in a couple of days for the games 3 and 4. But overall, this team played this game, to get back to that, this team played this game with a much different edge. The Sixers played game 1 with a sort of confidence and wherewithal that we hadn't really seen them have recently. They played a lot of scared basketball recently. And whatever happened in those press conferences whatever happened in those practices over in Camden at their practice facility, something was lit. And now it's a question of whether they can keep that going, whether that's a one-time only showing or they're going to keep that going as this series goes on, because it goes without saying. They play like that, this series is going to be a cakewalk because that's how good they can play. Coming out of that game, I thought to myself, the Sixers played a perfect game. They didn't turn the basketball over, which is huge. They won the battle on the offensive glass, which was ginormous. Joel Embiid did not force anything. He forces stuff. That turnover ratio does not look anything like it did after game 1. But he didn't do that. Like I said, he kept on playing smart basketball. James Harden didn't force anything. I didn't see him continuously go after fouls or anything like that. I know Nick Nurse got into it after the game, saying that this team, Joel Embiid gets every call, everything, blah, blah, blah. Everybody is bothered by Joel Embiid and James Harden getting foul calls. This isn't breaking news. Just ask Dan Burke, Sixers defensive mastermind, Dan Burke. Just ask him. He's the guy that he, 2 years ago was ripping Joel Embiid for getting every foul call. Oh, he did this, he's did that. And now he coaches the man. Like, nobody knows that more than him. Every coach now, it seems like the most popular thing. It started with Tyronn Lue, it went to Bickerstaff, and now we're talking about Nick Nurse. Oh, how do you defend Joel Embiid? Oh, he's not getting fouled. Oh, why are you calling fouls? Well, let's go with what Doc Rivers, maybe guard him better. Maybe quadruple team him. Just do the opposite, like a box and one, except the box plays against Joel Embiid and the one plays against the four other guys on the floor. Maybe that's what you need to do. Because the guys can't guard him. Even for the big guys that they have over there on Toronto, they're not strong enough to stop Joel Embiid. I mean, that was amazing. And to listen to another coach bitch and moan about this, like it's wild to me, because I always thought like coaches were supposed to be the ones to be like, oh no, that's with us, we got to take care of that, it's not up to the refs. But yet against Joel Embiid, it's like, oh, the refs got to do their job. Like, oh, dude, what the hell? It's a beautiful thing to watch a coach be that frustrated. I got a lot of respect for Nick Nurse. I think he's a hell of a coach. But when I hear any coach talk about it like that after a game, I'm like, come on, man, seriously, that's what we're going to talk about now? Like you had the answers to the test before the test, and you still failed. And now you're blaming the teacher. I literally, like, those are the things, statements like that from coaches are the type of things that, like, I'll be driving and it'll pop in my head. I'll just start laughing, be in the backyard doing some work, and I'll just start laughing. I'll just laugh my ass off of that. But I thought it was just a perfect game from the Sixers. And while I'm talking about pleasant surprises, Tobias Harris on Pascal Siakam was a pleasant surprise as well. Like, Tobias had a very rare occurrence of having his offensive game going and his defensive game highlighted as well. It hasn't been highlighted enough, maybe in the locker room after the game, but by the coaches. But in this particular game, I felt he played his best offensive game that we have seen him play in a while. It's the most complete game that we've seen him play in a while. And defensively speaking, we saw him D-up Pascal Siakam quite well, especially in the first half. I think that was a good assignment from Doc Rivers and the team. I think that was a good assignment maybe from Dan Burke, like I said, their defensive mastermind. So for me, I was really impressed with what I saw from Tobias Harris in this particular game. I will say, I can't help but think, and this isn't all my fault, okay? I think this is the way I've been bred as a Philadelphia sports fan, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Earlier in the day, if you recall, there was a tweet from a Brooklyn Nets reporter where God forbid, where Ben Simmons went over to him and he said, hey, make sure you get this. And this is a practice. And Ben Simmons goes over and lazily dunks a basketball. Twitter goes up in flames. And it looks like Ben Simmons is going to play in this first round series against the Celtics. Celtics up 1-0, by the way. More on that in a second. But Ben Simmons goes over and dunks the basketball, and like Twitter rolls their eyes, goes up in flames. We all roll our eyes, whatever, here in Philadelphia. But it got me thinking while I was watching Maxey, and not just Maxey, but also Pascal Siakam. Pascal Siakam has improved greatly. And people will talk about Nick Nurse as being the guy that has brought that along. And I don't take away anything from Nick Nurse in this, but I will address what I think, or will give credit to the main person I believe deserves credit for it, and that is Pascal Siakam. A couple of things after the Sixers lost that quadruple doink game to Kawhi Leonard and the Raptors. What I remember is that shot going in. I was at Xfinity Live covering fan reaction for NBC, and it was just took the life out of the building. And I remember Joel Embiid walking off the court, and he's crying, he's balling, and he hugs his lady friend and all that. And then I remember the post-game press conference with Nick Nurse. And Nick Nurse talked about Pascal Siakam, saying that he came to him. Pascal Siakam came to Nick Nurse 2 seasons prior and said, I got to get better at shooting. I got to be a shooter in this league. If I'm going to be anything, I got to learn how to shoot. And then look at what he turned himself into. What, the last 3 years, he's averaged over 20 points per game. Field goal percentage looked pretty damn good. His offensive game is totally transitioned from what it was his first, 2-3 years in the league. He's a totally different player. Goes without saying. Most improved player, as a matter of fact, stamped by the NBA. It really is amazing. And then I watch a guy like Tyrese Maxey, who in 2 years has improved phenomenally, has taken full advantage of the opportunity given to him by Ben Simmons not wanting to play for the Sixers anymore. For whatever reason, but not wanting to play for the Sixers anymore. And you watch his game improve, his confidence grow. I remember when Joel Embiid was out earlier in the season with COVID, Tyrese Maxey sort of took over offensively with scoring points for this team, got himself 1 or 2 30-point games at least, and he goes out there and he shows you what he could do. Joel Embiid comes back, and Tyrese Maxey goes into this little shell again. Well, they had to figure out a way for Joel Embiid to get his and Tyrese Maxey to get his. And I remember thinking at the time, the minute Maxey has the confidence in his own game that he can be a scorer on the floor at the same time as Joel Embiid, and Joel Embiid gives him that confidence, as Joel Embiid has done time and time again by feeding him the basketball, telling him to shoot, telling him to take it. Then James Harden comes here and he's like, no, Tyrese, you are that good. Go be that good. And it all boils over to the point that we saw in game 1 of this series, where you saw this kid absolutely take over. There was the heat check from midcourt for that 3, and he nailed it. Still hot, baby. And then he gets into the game later just to try to get 40 points, and the Sixers are up 20. This is what I love about Sixers fans. God bless you. You guys, awesome. Bring it every time. The Sixers are up 20 points in the fourth quarter. Tyrese Maxey goes back into the game. Tyrese Maxey goes into the game and is jacking up shots to try to get to 40 points, and he can't do it. But the Sixers fans are hanging on every dribble by Tyrese Maxey because they want to see him get 40. Tyrese Maxey wants 40. And then you hear him on the bench go, man, I suck. Oh, same energy, same place tonight. 7:30 tip-off on TNT. Can't wait. I give Tyrese Maxey so much credit for what he was able to do in game 1 of this series, and I can only hope he keeps it coming for the rest of the series because he is a joy to watch. And I see our friends over at PHL Sports Nation, part of their Sixers Nation Twitter, put together the little side-by-side, not even a side-by-side, but like split screen. Half of it's Allen Iverson, the other half is Tyrese Maxey. And I'm thinking about it. It got me thinking about it on Friday. It is obvious. Like sometimes something will pop in my head. I'm like, it's a hot take. No one will believe it. But in all honesty, when have we last in Philadelphia seen a Sixers player play with that kind of speed and play with that kind of quickness where you feel like he could take anybody to the hole at any point? And that's not really the way the game's played so much anymore. But Maxey has that in him. And there's no better example of the speed than it wasn't even technically a fast break, I guess, because there were 2 defenders back. But Maxey it was a fast break. Maxey getting that pass from James Harden and being able to put it in for 2. That was the absolute essence of speed. And you haven't really seen that since Allen Iverson. Like I'm thinking, like Drew Holiday was here, and he was still up and coming as a point guard in this league, as a guard in this league in general. He didn't really have it. Iguodala was sort of more of a strong, like strength and athleticism type of guy, but nobody with this kind of quickness since Allen Iverson. And watching it last night was like, wow, I haven't seen that since Allen Iverson. I know that's high praise, but it's accurate praise as well. Give him a lot of credit. We'll let you hear from Tyrese Maxey coming up in just a second for what he had to say after the game. Also, James Harden on that particular play, that pass to Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, on what happened in this game as well, what he was trying to do and what he'll try to do going into game 2 of this series, because I was just blown away with what they were able to do in game 1. And if this is just a taste of things to come, it's going to be an easy series for the Sixers. If it's just a taste of things to come. Everyone thinks this is crazy because of the playoffs. And it's the playoffs, so it's winner or go home, yeah? Complacency is going to be the trickiest thing in all of this. Oh, how do you get complacent in the playoffs? Well, you think you're that good, and the minute you think you're that good, the other team makes a run. I mean, I remember the Sixers bouncing back against the Hawks and thinking, oh, okay, good, they got this. And they didn't have it. this Raptors team obviously isn't the Hawks. They don't have the offensive firepower that they have in a guy like Trae Young, who is just incredible. But they are a very good, defensively sound team. And they don't get down. They're very well coached. Nick Nurse knows how to put that right message in their player's head. He knows how to design a game plan. Like, he knows what he's doing. The Sixers just can't get complacent and say, okay, this is how we are now, and that's all we need. No, they need to keep up the same energy. They're going to need to get a monster game from Embiid at some point. They're going to need to get a monster game from James Harden at some point. They're going to have to almost match the energy and match the production that a guy like Tyrese Maxey did in game one. They're going to need to lean on and rely on somebody else in that starting five to step up. Tobias Harris, as much as I'd love to say this is going to be the start of a lot more consistency for him, I don't buy it. I'm rooting for him. I'm not betting on it. I'd love to see it happen. I just don't think it does happen. Somebody else is going to have to step up in this lineup. It's not going to be Tyrese Maxey all the time. I'd love for it to be that case, be that way, so everyone else can just kind of chill, but that's not going to be the case. So I look forward to seeing what this team can do in Game 2 tonight, and hopefully this will be them just being the tip of the iceberg for what this series really presents. We all know the real challenge is going to face them in Game 3 and 4, having to rely a little bit more on Danny Green, having to rely a little bit more on George Niang, having to rely on those guys off the bench to fill the spot of Matisse Thybulle. And as I said, going into this series, I actually like what Doc Rivers is doing. He's not going to jumble the starting lineup. He is going to stick with one starting lineup, regardless of whether or not he has Matisse Thybulle available in this series in particular. Maybe when they go on, maybe that'll be a different story. But right now, he is sticking with Danny Green in the starting lineup. Let me get this in here because we don't have a guest today. Plenty to talk about with you guys, so I wanted to make sure we got to it all. But let me tell you real quick before we move on and give you our post-game reaction. Brought to you by Rothman Orthopedics. Let me tell you right now about our friend Mike Seibert at Destination Retirement, a retirement income certified professional at Destination Retirement LLC, a partner of 1847 Financial and an Eagles, Sixers, and Phillies fan. That's right. Maybe next year the Flyers. And I'll tell you what else. Mike is an advisor for Eagles, Sixers, and Phillies fans only, and still maybe next time, Flyers fans. Maybe next year. When it comes to long-term savings, why are you giving up the current enjoyment of your income? Enjoy your income now. What's going on there? The answer is to have income streams in retirement. It only makes sense that when you understand how retirement income streams work. And how can you understand that? You talk to my man, Mike Seibert. You get direct savings in ways that give you the highest income when you retire. Think of it like climbing a mountain. Is the objective just to get to the top of the mountain, or is the objective to get to the top of the mountain and then climb safely back down the mountain? Going up the mountain is your accumulation phase. Going back down the mountain is your distribution phase. These are the two phases of your financial life, and each should be addressed separately. This month, let's talk about college planning. We all know that college is expensive. Have you ever thought about how it will affect your retirement? Let Mike show you an efficient way to help pay for your kids' college and still retire on your own terms. Your first step is to avoid starting your growth cycle over by depleting accounts like 529s for big expenses like college. You don't want to lose your position on your growth cycle and have to start over because you can't get that time back. Instead, get yourself up to speed and set yourself up with the ability to use vehicles that you can take money out of without starting your growth cycle over again. Find out how your annual retirement savings can help your college savings and how then your annual college savings can help your retirement savings. Mike will set up your own portal in Retirement Analyzer, then use the software to help you navigate through the different phases of your financial life. For questions, and if you need help setting up a meeting, Mike will take care of it. Just email him at gobirds@1847financial.com. How simple is that? gobirds@1847financial.com, or call his office at 484-275-6035. That's 484-275-6035. You can also visit his website at destinationretirement.com. That's destinationretirement.com. And as always, go Birds and play the song. How about my man Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers? Oh, was there anything better as a child than a warm summer day or a warm spring day? Mom would surprise you with a frozen sweet treat. Well, Steven Singer is going to help you thank Mom for all the sweet memories you have with the best gift for Mom for Mother's Day. Announcing the brand new 24-karat gold dip rose creamsicle. It's a mouth-watering creamy orange color exclusively at IHateStevenSinger.com. The crazy world we live in, there's never been more important time to tell Mom how much you love her and show her how much you love her. Give her the number one gift for Mother's Day. Picture it, a real long stem rose dipped and trimmed in 24-karat gold with light peach petals. Preserved and guaranteed to last a lifetime. It's the sweetest way to tell mom how much you love her and how much those memories mean to you. Mother's Day is just around the corner. Don't get flowers that die in a week. Give a gift that she'll cherish with a brand new creamsicle 24-karat gold dip rose. They start at just $59 at IHateStevensinger.com. So order today. Free shipping, fast and free shipping as always at IHateStevensinger.com with a personalized love note. That's right. Make sure you get this guaranteed to last a lifetime gift. They start at just $59 at IHateStevensinger.com. Without further ado, we're going to go give a little post-game locker room report brought to you by the great people of Rothman Orthopedics. We've talked about that pass a number of times. In the late stages of the third quarter, around 3 minutes to go, James Harden found Tyrese Maxey to go up 18 on the Raptors in game one. Here is James Harden on what he saw in that pass.
I'm not fast at all, and he is. So I've been trying to do a better job of just getting the ball, advancing the ball, and pushing our pace up a little bit more with the advance pass. And we did a good job. Something we talk about as far as rebounding the basketball, we did a great job of that. And he's running, man. You got to reward him. He's a great finisher, and he makes the right plays. So just try to keep him going.
And boy, did they keep him going. They caught a little bit of the sideline. I didn't think it was as audible as some people would, but basically what happened was Maxey, because he was mic'd up on ESPN, went over to James Harden. They were sitting next to each other on the bench and basically said, "How'd you find me?" And he had him from the get-go. As it worked out, it was pretty incredible. And Marcus Hayes asked the question. It was a follow-up question to that. You could see that little skip he put in it, that little forward spin James Harden put on the pass so that it even took off more when it hit the floor, right in the hands of Tyrese Maxey for the layup, which was great. I loved hearing it, and, man, it came through. It came through on the TV. The Maxey chants. And there's something about him as a young player that is just, everything about him is electric. You can tell it just loves playing the game. He's not one of those guys that just loves what the game brings him. He loves the game itself. And that was something I've always said about Ben Simmons, is that he doesn't love the game. He loves what basketball brings him. That always seemed to be the case for Ben Simmons for me. Even when he was at LSU, that was my concern when he got to the NBA. Yeah, Brandon Ingram or Ben Simmons. Well, Ben Simmons can do more. Ingram's a shooter. What are you going to do? You know, that thing. And I was like, well, the one thing that scares me about Ben Simmons is I don't know how much he loves the game. Because if he really loved the game, you would never see him play as lackadaisical as he did when he was at LSU. That was my concern. Maxey has none of that in him. Maxey is all systems go all the time type of guy. And that's what you saw in game one. And the best part about it, humility. Tyrese Maxey on what he's going to take away from the crowd. 20,000 people at the Wells Fargo Center chanting his name. This is what it means to Tyrese Maxey.
Honestly, we appreciate it. I appreciate it, but I think the only thing I'm going to remember is us winning, and that's all that matters at this point. And now it's in my rearview mirror. It's time to look ahead to game two and get focused and get prepared.
I know how this sounds. This is going to sound so unbelievably disrespectful, but I want to pat Tyrese Maxey on the top of his head and be like, "Oh, you adorable little fella. I love you." I just want to say that to him. That's how great he is. And then what about you? 38 points. The crowd chanting your name. It was all about you. Everybody loved you. It was your phenomenal moment. And you know what he says? Nah, I just want to win. Why can't we have more people like you, Tyrese Maxey? In the world of this is why we can't have nice things, we have something extremely nice, and his name is Tyrese Maxey, both on and off the floor. I love this dude. Do I love 38 points? Sure, I love 38 points. But I love the attitude. You might say, "Oh, what is he going to say?" Yes, worship me, praise me. What is he going to say? No, he's not going to say that. You know what he's going to say? He's going to be humble about it. He's going to have humility about it. But all of that just leads to what he can do on the floor. It's like, I don't know what he is just, you could tell how much he loves playing this game. And a guy does not get this type of opportunity with all of a sudden your starting point guard saying, "Hey, thanks, but no thanks. I'm not going to play for you guys this year." He gets this type of opportunity to log the minutes that he's logged this season, and he has dominated. Imagine Tyrese Maxey doesn't take this huge step forward. Is Shake Milton your point guard? Other than James Harden, of course, but I'm talking about before the Harden trade. Do you see a lot more Shake Milton before that? I know he was injured for a lot of the year, but that's where are we? Do we bring in some veteran point guard? to run this offense? No, Maxey said, I got this with the right attitude. And Joel Embiid bestowed upon him great responsibility and still has time and time again. I love what I have seen from Tyrese Maxey so far this season. Love what I saw from him in game 1. And I love that after a game where everyone was chanting his name, he's just like, hey, 1-0. We're 1-0 in the series. Anytime you do something great, people are only going to look at you and say, hey, when can you do that again? Or, in this city, do that again. Absolutely love what he saw. And how do you not, really? How do you not? Finally, let's hear from the man himself, Joel Embiid. Talked about no turnovers in this game. Talked about how the Sixers didn't turn the basketball over either. Talked about a lot of things after the game, but mostly the turnovers and offensive glass and what he had to do in this game to help his teammates win. Joel Embiid, postgame.
I mean, it starts really with me. Just not getting frustrated and kind of inviting the double teams and triple teams that they kept saying on me all night. Just trying to make the right play, whatever is going to, get us the win. And I said it, having played against them for so long, especially the same coach, I kind of know, how they think and how they want to play, especially defensively. So I think it's all about me just, keep making the right plays over and over and over. And I thought tonight it's pretty good. Happy about. That's probably the first time I ever went with 0 turnovers against Toronto, which I gotta do that a lot more.
I mean, when he says it starts with him, he's mainly talking about the turnovers there. And what was really amazing in this game is that so many different times, and as I pointed out earlier in the Hawks series against Toronto the previous time around, a lot of it has started and ended with Joel Embiid, and really it all does. But when he forces situations, when even Joel Embiid tries to do too much, when he has people at his disposal like James Harden, Tobias Harris playing the way he was in game 1, and Tyrese Maxey, he trusts the players around him. He doesn't have to force anything. And when he says he's inviting the double teams, there were a number of occasions in this game where you would see him get the ball, not necessarily on the post, but down low, close to the basket, and really between the block and the three-point line, and his back would be to the basket, he'd hold the ball. One guy would be on him, he'd wait that downbeat, and another guy would go on him, then he'd make the pass. That is maturity. That's taking the next step as a basketball player. And that's what he has done every single year. And this is a particular series, and it's really not going to go away. It's not like whoever they face next is going to be like, okay, well, we'll just one-on-one with Joel Embiid. Maybe they got a better center. That'll be the case. But right now, this is a team that they know one-on-one they can't stop them, which is why they're bitching and moaning about foul calls again. But Joel Embiid inviting that double team, hesitating for a second, waiting that downbeat, then get rid of the basketball to set up a guy like Maxey or Harden or Tobias Harris, whoever, or Danny Green, whoever it might be. That is a great move by him, because my problem with Joel Embiid, yeah, I have a problem with Joel Embiid. And this is the only time I'll mention these two guys together. It's the same problem I have with Tobias Harris. If these guys are dribbling the basketball more than 3 or 4 times, there's trouble a-brewing, because they're about to force something, or a third defenseman is going to come down and they're going to collapse on him and they're going to force a turnover. That's where you're forcing issues as an offensive player. And Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid, the less dribbles they have in a possession, I think the better off they are, because you're not risking turning that ball over. Because neither one of them are real ball handlers. They have handle, especially Joel Embiid for his size. He has handle for his size. But generally speaking, for a defender to come in and swoop in and then force a turnover, that's where Joel Embiid gets in trouble. As long as he allows the game to come to him, doesn't try to force anything, his turnovers are going to continue to be very much down for what we have seen throughout his career, especially in the playoffs, especially against a team like the Hawks, especially against a team like the Toronto Raptors, where they struggled mightily with turnovers, or he has struggled mightily with turnovers in those matchups. So as long as he just trusts his teammates, and now he's got teammates worth trusting, and he plays within himself, I could deal with another 19, 20, 25-point game type of deal from Joel Embiid, as long as he is not turning the basketball over. As long as he is distributing well like he was in game 1, this team is just set on a good path for success in this series. So that's how you look at that turnover battle and you think this team will be just fine. It starts and ends with Joel Embiid trusting his teammates and not forcing the issue. Love that. That was Rothman Orthopedics post-game report, locker room report, brought to you by Rothman Orthopedics. Hey, remember the old you? The one that didn't have to put up with a fickle knee, finicky hip, or shoulder that no longer does what a shoulder should do? The Rothman approach to orthopedics is here to get you back to being you, back to running, back to walking, back to playing, back to living your life the way you want. With same-day appointments available, you can start today at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Rothman Orthopedics, the official orthopedic partner of your Phillies, Eagles, and Sixers. That's RothmanOrtho.com. How about the people of Windview? Windview is the only game where fans can take on other fans and end the debate once and for all. Who is the biggest sports fan? You have those friends and family members who think they know everything about sports? Play them in a Windview contest. See if they can walk the walk as well as they talk the talk. Have your fun with Windview. Download the Windview app right now. But remember, it's not a sports book. It's not daily fantasy. It's a social gaming app where fans can take on other fans and win real money prizes for making predictions on the games that they love so much. So download the Windview app right now. How about PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs? It's PHLSportsStation.com. Real quick, I want to give you guys some NBA scores. I was going to wait for the morning rush to do it, but I want to do it right now because this is just insane. Celtics beat the Nets 115-114 yesterday. Kyrie dropped 39. Jason Tatum dropped 31. If you didn't see the last play of that game, Sports Center, YouTube, whatever, just go find that last play. Kevin Durant misses a go-ahead shot. Goes down the other end. They work it to the last second before they hit Jason Tatum streaking to the basket for the game-winning shot, the layup, game-winning layup. And they win the game 115-114 on a buzzer-beating layup. I'm still trying to wrap my head around reading this, but it's true. The Boston Celtics, in all their, God, I hate giving them this much credit, in all their incredible championship history, have never had a game-winning buzzer beater at home in the playoffs. Jason Tatum is the first Boston Celtic ever to hit a buzzer-beating game winner at home in Celtics playoff history. For the kids at home that are unfamiliar, the Celtics won like 11 championships in the late 50s, 60s, and early 70s. Like they went through a nice little run there. Was it 8 in a row, I want to say, at one point? Like this is going to bother me now that I'm not thinking of this off the top of my head. But they won something like 11 championships in a row, Phil. Like, I don't know. They basically, I think at one point they just had teams surrendering to them, and they didn't even play a championship. They're like, Celtics, no, we're good. You know what? We're going to play golf early. You guys win. And that's where you had the classic Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain matchup so many times with the Warriors, for instance. That's that same era. So if you look at, real quick, I'm going to do this right now, live to tape, as we like to call it. I think it was 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 straight. Okay, 8 straight. 9, 10, 11. 11 in 13 years. 8 straight championships between the 1958-1959 season to 1965-1966 season. They won the championship every year. And then in 66, 67, I think that's when they lost to the Sixers. Yeah, they lost to the Sixers in the division finals. Take that! We ruined the streak. So there you go. But yeah, all that time, Jason Tatum's the first one. Bonkers. All right, let's jump into the chat check, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what the good people of Philadelphia have going on here. Chat check. Real quick, for the chat check, I just need to hear Maxey one more time.
Honestly, I really appreciate it. I appreciate it, but I think the only thing I'm going to remember is us winning. And that's all that matters at this point. And now it's in my rearview mirror. And it's time to look ahead to game 2 and get focused and get prepared.
How do you not love that kid? What's up, chat check? What's going on? Kevin, good morning. How are you? Farzy, everybody, hello. Kevin, hello back to you. Happy Monday to you. Sean, what's going on? Petite Mullet petition for Alvarado. Glorious Maximus. Morning to all. John Cheeseborough, what's going on? Hello. Mally, Dan. Dan, you had to be the first in the chat to mention the Marlins. I know it was part of my open, but what did I say, Phillies? Don't lose 3 or 4 to the Marlins. And what do you go ahead and do? You lose 3 or 4 to the Marlins. We're going to take some time apart, the Phillies and I. We need a break. We need a break at this point in the season. And, you know what? I don't like that because I was really excited for this season with, the Phillies, the bats and all that stuff. Okay. So the Phillies score 3 runs in back-to-back games. Or excuse me, 3 runs in the last game of the series, 1 run in game 2, 3 runs in game 1. They jumped out onto the scene for 10 runs in the third game of the series, which they won, which was nice, 10-3. Now they go to Colorado. Every hitter's favorite park to hit in. Please, MASH, do that thing we've all been waiting for you guys to do, where you MASH. Colorado Rockies. Be a nice place to get that started. Also, if you remember me earlier in the season talking about how a lot of this comes down to Joe Girardi, like anytime a team spends top dollar, for instance, the Phillies going over the luxury tax for the first time ever, you're going to look at the manager with a lot more pressure, especially in the final year of a deal. Lame duck manager applies here, that phrase, because he has no year after this year in the contract. They're over the tax. This is the push come to shove moment for Joe Girardi. This, right now, the push come to shove moment for Joe Girardi. He's got to be the difference. We're spending money on a good product. Make sure it's a good product. Now, could it be possible that all these guys are having down moments, down years? Could that be the beginning of it? Is it only still April? Yes, blah, 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 not hitting the panic button, whatever. But it's all down to Joe Girardi. Find a way to make this work. JT Realmuto was absolutely matching for this team. He puts him in the starting lineup as the leadoff hitter for the Phillies. Over the last 2 games, he goes 1 for 8. Oh, this is fun. We're all having fun here. So we'll see how the rest of this goes on. But Joe Girardi yesterday in the 4th inning, I want to say it was, he's watching Zack Wheeler pitch. And Zack Wheeler didn't have it yesterday. By no means. I'm going to pull up his 7 runs earned, 8 hits surrendered, 3 walks. How did he get to 66 pitches, Joe? How are we at home looking at this going, oh, this guy doesn't have it? Where's Girardi? Oh, he's still in the dugout. He's not getting his pitcher? Okay. Good luck to you, pal. So, yeah, it wasn't exactly the best start for him yesterday. But nonetheless, this is all on Joe Girardi at this point. Hey, players got to play. Players got to hit. They hit. He looks a lot better. But moments like that, they make you wonder. So thank you, Dan Schwartz, for bringing up the Phillies. John Cheeseborough, let's go get everyone's favorite part of the show. Let's jump into the chat check brought to you by Farzi's high-speed internet just when you think it's frozen. PJ, have we frozen a couple of times? Have you noticed a couple of freezes? No, we're good? Okay. It's them? Okay. Let's see. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Alyssa. Dan. Oh, Dan saying it froze? Whatever. Good morning. Oh, that's nice. John's shouting out everyone for good morning. That's nice. Mally, hello again. JC, Mullet. Did you see JC's comment replace my name with JC? What? Oh, no, John, this is a very fair point. John saying the best thing that happened to the Sixers was no 2020 NCAA tournament. If there had been March Madness, the Sixers would be wishing they had Maxey. You look at that draft and where guys like Halliburton went and Maxey going at 21, it's insane. Like, you're thinking about this. I know we had Smitty on from Barstool, and Smitty was like, Max would be a top 3 pick if there was a 2020 NCAA tournament. Shucks. Sometimes it works out for us. Jim Grassmeter, what's up, buddy? Good morning to you. Farzy, that's exactly how the Sixers needed to come out in game 1. I don't think the Raptors were ready for that. 3 turnovers, all in the second half, set the tone. Now they can build on that. John, I hope you're right. Alyssa, give Maxey the key to the city. I wasn't going to say this, but now I feel like I have to because it's just rattling around in my brain way too much, and I don't have a clip of this. Have you guys seen the Tyrese Maxey Cure Auto Insurance commercial? Okay. I believe they played it a couple of times during the game. In the background, you'll see a guy that maybe kind of looks like me. Almost like he could be my brother. Well, guess what? He's my brother. Yesterday at Easter, my brother's like, oh, hey, Mark, look at this. And he hands me an iPad. And he hits play, and he goes, hey, tell me if there's anybody you recognize. And I've met the owner of Cure Auto Insurance. He's in the commercial. Former sales guy. I used to work with Brian Collins. What's up, buddy? He's in there. And I'm like, what? And then I see in the background this bald-headed bastard, and it's my brother. And he's an extra in the commercial with Tyrese Maxey. And I'm laughing my ass. I'm like, this is awesome. Congrats. That's great. Glad you got in this spot. And he tells me, Tyrese Maxey was so cool. And I go, oh, yeah? And he goes, yeah, he was talking to everybody. He was being exactly what you would want him to be. Like, exactly as you think he is, like this sweet young man. Like, that's what he is. And my brother was saying how he was just, like, taking time to talk to people and hang out with people. And he was just so chill and so cool. He was there for pretty much most of the day for the shoot. But the entire time, it was just really cool, really nice. And they're like, oh, that's always good to hear. And I hear nothing but good things about that. So, Jess, if you see that Cure Auto Insurance commercial again, and you see a bald-headed bastard in the background that's kind of like this, that's my brother. That's my brother. Michael. That's my brother, Michael. Mike, whatever. He's also like 6'5". He's a mutant. He's just tall as hell. Let's see here. Back to the chat. Harden also, he played well. Jim Grassmeter. Whoever injected Tobias Harris with some courage, please keep it going. Yeah. Alyssa, I don't know why I'm shocked that Daniel didn't hit 1-3. What was his final stat line on the night? I know I've looked at everybody else's stat line 100 times. I hadn't really looked at that Danny Green fella's too many times. But I'll just say this. I find his shot annoying. Probably because it doesn't go in. 0 for 5? 0 for 5 from beyond the arc. Jeez, Danny Green. I was 1 for 7, and I hit my first 3 against the local union sprinklers, against the local sprinklers union. There we go. Where do you guys go? There you are. All right. Finally get to say this. We draft this. The draft is next week. Yeah, the NFL draft is next week. Finally have a player and Maxey, other teams are mad that they didn't draft. Jim Grassmeter, we finally have a player that other teams are pissed they didn't draft. You're right. Clay, what's up, Clay? There's a reason why the best basketball players go to Duke, Kentucky, and North Carolina. They should be targeted constantly. It kind of feels like Howie Roseman just needs to draft players from like Alabama and Auburn and like, the Power 5 conferences. Yeah, let's do that. Let's not forget Toronto was down 3 players tonight. You're right, John. You're right. What's the latest on Scotty Barnes? Doubtful, I believe. John Cheeseborough says doubtful. So no, they are doubtful. Here's the thing. In my spot, like I'm not getting in trouble, but like I don't want to highlight the injuries. The Sixers can win this series without injuries. It's fine, but I don't want it to come off like I'm spiking the football that they got guys hurt. And I'm not saying you're doing that, John, but sometimes in my enthusiasm, people will take it the wrong way. This bastard's happy Scotty Barnes broke his foot in half. Anyway, Max Day, not Monday. Jim, I see what you did there. Fuji, what's going on? Happy Easter. Da-da-da-da-da. Let's see here. What's going on? Sean Gillespie. Sean, good morning. Loves Maxey. How do you not love Maxey? Maxey's second MVP on the Sixers. That's pretty much what it's been like. And I got to say, I was I was very comforted, actually. I know James Harden's numbers weren't great, 6 for 17, 4 for 7 from beyond the arc. That's really where I want him to get his points, from beyond the arc. That and going to the rim and getting fouls. Oh, one thing, I was yelling at the TV in game 1. Fred VanVleet got 2 fouls in the first, 90 seconds of the game. And then nobody drove on Fred VanVleet for the rest of the first half. Ridiculous. He ended up fouling out of the game anyway, but he could have got him out there. They ended up not being a factor, but he ended up fouling out anyway. But it just drives me nuts when you have the opportunity to get the point guard, the starting point guard of a team out of a lineup, get him out of the lineup. Nobody does that anymore. That's one of the things that I don't like about the three-point era of the NBA. If you drive to the rim, 2 good things could happen. I mean, you could also turn the ball over, but if you shoot the 3 and live and die by, if you play the 3 style of basketball that everybody plays today, that the Warriors really started, if you play that style, you live and die by the 3. But if you go to the lane, you go hard to the lane, and Joel Embiid is great at this, and James Harden has been great about this in his career. You draw the foul, can get somebody else in foul trouble, and then you might have the opportunity for the 3. The other problem is you also have the opportunity to turn the ball over. For me, I like that late 80s, early 90s, or late 80s, 90s style of basketball where guys went hard to the rim. They tried to get the N1 a lot, and they played aggressive. They didn't turn around, bitch and moan at every single foul call that was missed or whatever happened. I love that style. I love that more than what we watch today. I still very much enjoy it. I still love it, but not as much as I love that. Still love both things. Love one a little bit more. But that's one of the things James Harden does do well. But when you see a guy get 2 fouls early like that, drive on him. Get him out of the game. Make him go to the reserve point guard. Have somebody else run the offense for a second. Deal with that, Toronto. Anyway, that's my little tangent on that. Go with the Celtics. I agree. Durant is terrible. Wait, Clay, what did I miss? They should replace the William Penn statue with one of Joel Embiid. Dan, you know what? It's time, damn it. That would be the ultimate middle finger to the curse of Billy Penn. What Billy Penn? How can you curse when you're not there? Mark Langer, what's everyone's prediction tonight? Pain. Sixers win tonight, baby. Dan Schwartz saying 121-101. Ooh, another 20-point victory. 56 basketball. 8 teams with most players part-time. Way different. Sean, that's true. Jason, what's going on? Who would you rather have the Sixers play between the Nets and the Celtics? I'd rather face the Celtics. Oh, wow, the Celtics are up 1-0. I just rather face it. I'd rather play the Celtics. Celtics don't have an answer for Embiid. Sixers, at least, I think, have better defenders than what the Nets can throw at Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. How about Jaylen Brown? What was it? Elbow to the face? I know Kyrie Irving. Did he headbutt or did he elbow Marcus Smart early in that game? But Jaylen Brown played a lot of the game with a tissue up his nostril because he was bleeding. Ray, what's up? Rivers and Girardi. When you see them talking after the games, they don't seem to be worried about anything because they know they get fired. They have coaching jobs waiting for them, pretty much. Ronald, what's up, Ronald? What's going on? Let's see. Jim Grassman, right, Farzy? I was screaming the same thing about VanVleet. Great shooter, and get him out of the game. It just seemed, I'm like, is it too grade school basketball of me to think, get a guy out of the game? The minute somebody got in foul trouble, when I played the game at the extremely high level of CYO, and my 1 year of high school basketball, and my one game professionally, playing 2 minutes for the Harlem Globetrotters, in that game, it was all about getting people in foul trouble. But no, in all seriousness, I don't know what's so hard about that. I don't know. It's just beyond obvious to me. Oh, he's got 2 fouls in 90 seconds. Let's get him in third immediately. Bye-bye. No, let's keep his three-point shooting in the game. Sure. Let's keep his facilitating ability in the game. Yeah, please. Thanks. Let's see here. Clay, welcome in. That's why I haven't seen you. Found your show today, Mark. Listen to you all the time when you're on the radio. That's very nice of you, man. I appreciate that, Clay. Welcome to the party, pal. Sean, rather play the Celtics. Yeah, good. Clay, I agree with Durant back with the Nets. They're going to be trouble. I agree. You know what? Let me get this off my chest about Kevin Durant. How do I say this with not sounding too hot take-ish? I got not a lot of respect for Kevin Durant. Like, I know he's great. I can acknowledge that he's great. But can I also not respect him? Is that how that works? And it's not just running to the Golden State Warriors after losing to the Golden State Warriors and then winning 2 championships, being MVP finals of the MVP finals, whatever, finals MVP twice as well. He's great. Let me get out of the way. He's great. One of the greatest scorers I've ever seen. But I don't have any respect for the guy. And like facing him in a killer situation, something tells me Joel Embiid would make him. I don't talk like this often on the show, but I'll say it right now. I think Joel Embiid would make him his little bitch. Like, I honestly do. In a playoff series, Kevin Durant doesn't scare me. And I know, how do you say that? He doesn't scare you. Nets Kevin Durant doesn't scare me. In a series against Joel Embiid, bring it. I'd rather face the Celtics, sure. But KD, for whatever reason, does not make me work. Kyrie Irving, I mean, hey, look, he had 39 points last night and the Nets lost. But I don't look at Kevin Durant and go, oh my God, Kevin Durant. I respect how great he is. No, I don't respect how great he is. I acknowledge how great he is, but I don't respect him. I don't know if anything I just said made sense. I hope it does. The bitch part, I think, definitely made sense. Anyway, what else you guys got going on? Off the top rope. Who's off the top rope? There we go. Appreciate you guys in the chat. Check, you guys are awesome as per usual. Appreciate the conversation. Be back with you guys obviously tomorrow morning, but now let's get into our morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars. SkyMotorcars.com. Make sure you guys check that out. Oh, we got some pretty interesting stuff that we're planning with Sky Motorcars, as a matter of fact, so stay tuned for that. The week I'm away, June 1st to the 7th, we're still going to have some fresh content dropping for you guys. Never seen before content here on the Farzy Show. We're going to drop for you guys on that, so stay tuned for that. Some of it's going to be a great involvement with Sky Motorcars. We look forward to bringing you guys that and a feature on a Flyers legend. So we're in the process of planning this great stuff for you guys. So yeah, we'll get into that. But let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Wanted to get you guys the rest of the NBA scores in case you guys weren't able to see the games yesterday. One, definitely go see the end of the Celtics game. Heat taking 1-game lead on the Hawks in that game. Celtics over the Nets, 115-114. Bucks were able to hold off the Bulls, a late surge in that game. Very low-scoring fourth quarter in that game. 19-14. The Bucks outscored the Bulls in the fourth quarter there. So that was an interesting one. Giannis with a double-double, 27 and 16. Nick Vucevic with 24 and 17 in that game. Suns over the Pelicans, 110-99. Chris Paul, 30 points, 10 assists in that game. Sixers, Raptors, tonight, 7:30 tip, TNT. Here's what I need to see. I don't know if Tyrese Maxey is going to go out there and drop another 38 points. I don't know if Joel Embiid is going to go out there and only score 19. But here's what I need to see. Joel Embiid needs the same exact mindset, because even if he's leading the team in scoring, or if he is considering himself merely a role player in this series, he needs to do exactly what he did in game one. He does that, the Sixers will not turn the basketball over. They'll at least, here's what I'll guarantee you. Here's what I guarantee you. If Joel Embiid if he has more than 2 turnovers, Sixers are going to lose the turnover battle. If he maintains staying under 2 turnovers, Sixers are going to win the turnover battle, and they're going to win this game. Joel Embiid also has to be there on the offensive glass. Sixers have to win the offensive glass battle. Sixers win this game tonight, though. I am confident they will maintain what they did in game 1 as far as those 2 offensive and defensive strategies by not turning the basketball over. Joel Embiid playing with himself and getting the offensive boards. They do that, they win this game tonight. Yes, Toronto's going to be shorthanded, but the Sixers, regardless, are going to win this game tonight, go up 2-0 on the Toronto Raptors. I'm going to say Joel Embiid has a better game, offensively speaking, in terms of points. I think he gets around 25 tonight. I just have a better feeling for him going to the line. Nick Nurse bitching about the refs, I don't think is going to help his case after the game. It hardly ever does. So I think that Joel Embiid will have a better game points-wise. I think Tyrese Maxey still goes off for 20. And the reason I think you're going to get that scoring from these other players is because I don't think you're going to get the same type of offensive performance that you're going to get from Tobias Harris as you did in game 1. That's a guy I think takes more of a dip. James Harden, for me, is strictly more so than ever at this point, I think, the volume shooter that we've all known him to be. But right now, with that struggle from the floor, I don't see that bouncing back anytime soon. I think he has resigned himself to be more of the facilitator, which is why you see the type of performance that you saw from him in game 1 with those, the 10 assists I think he had in the game. So for me, that's what I think we're going to see from James Harden again in game 2. That's the player he's going to be. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. Much appreciated. This is the Farzy Show coming to you live as we do every day from 6 to 7 a.m. where a new live episode drops every day from 6 to 7 at the Steven Singer Studios. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. Jim Hyden produced the show. The Farzy Show is presented by Destination Retirement, destinationretirement.com. Look forward to talking to you guys after the Sixers go up 2-0 and the Phillies, maybe, I don't know, win a game to start a series against the Colorado Rockies out there in Colorado. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow. See you later.